It's the Playhouse Podcast with Kat and JJ.
Believe it. I missed everything.
Missed the show?
What am I going to do?
Check out the Daily Podcast.
So the hypothetical scenario popped up during the show this morning. If you get out of the shower and you catch a glimpse of yourself in the mirror and you looked at your belly button and there was a red button there, and every time you pressed it, something magical would happen. What would yours be? We threw this out to our audience. We had some pretty interesting reactions to this. If you missed it, you got to hear it in the podcast. Here we go. I ran across this post on Instagram over the weekend, and it was from, I don't know, a woman in Kentucky. I think it was Kentucky or Oklahoma. I can't remember. But she was going through, they had a series of tornadoes that went through their neighborhood, and she was just outside, earbuds in, not paying attention to anything, and all of a sudden she saw like a mass exodus out of her neighborhood of all of these people that were driving through, and she's like, what's going on? And her husband grabbed her. She goes, come on, we have to go.
No
and
time to grab
he grabbed her. He threw her in the car, and they like outran the tornado. Like they drove miles and miles and miles away to where they weren't in the path of this anymore. And it got me started thinking, like, has anybody ever been in a situation where you just had to straight up flee?
So when we lived in Guam, we were sitting there. My mom was, I can remember it like it was yesterday. I was watching TV. My sister was doing crafts. My mom was making spaghetti. My dad was gone working. He did construction. And so all of a sudden, like, I saw the TV start to sway. The water in the pot started to go back and forth, start to go on the burner. My mom takes it off, shuts off the stove, grabs both of us, and then grabs her purse. And then grabs we had like a portable safe that was maybe the size of a very small like stereo.
Passports and stuff like that.
Passports, all of our papers. And she grabbed that too. And then we ran outside. You're not supposed to stay inside for an earthquake because everything could fall right on top of you.
So you didn't have to go far, but you had to flee.
Right. We just went out to the parking lot. But just in case that whole thing went down, we would have had all of our information, would have made life a little bit easier. But for her to have that forethought, like, this will be a good thing if I can grab this and my two children. And she did. So
outside of being smart. At like a rager college party and where somebody's like, the cops are here.
Yeah.
Like, I've never had to straight up flee a situation. But as soon as we mentioned it, James called. You want to tell us about this, bro?
Yeah, I'll try to say what I can say, I guess. Basically, when I was a kid, my dad was a foreign diplomat.
Okay.
And I don't even know if I should say where, but he came home one night. It was 3 a.m, woke me and my mom up. We didn't know what was happening. He was like, we have to get out of here. You have 90 minutes to pack your stuff.
Oh, my
we
God.
gotta go.
I
know.
Was this a, hey, we have to leave the country in 90 minutes kind of thing? Because you said he was a foreign diplomat.
Yeah. He's like, there's a plane waiting for us. We gotta go. And, I mean, like, he can't even give me or my mom all the details. So, like, we had no half of what's going on. Crazy. Like, unbelievable.
Yeah, what was that flight like? Really quiet? I'd be like, anybody else going to talk about what's going on?
Did you ever get the explanation of why you had to get out of a country in 90 minutes?
We got somewhat of an explanation, but it's my whole childhood. You don't know what's true. You don't really know
this is
what
bananas.
Exactly is. Yeah, what he can tell you without killing you, I don't know.
And then when you guys got to the United States, things seemed to calm down. Did things, like, level out? Or was this, like, your entire young adult life?
Well, that was an extreme example. But after that 90 minutes, nothing ever happened, is what I can say.
Oh, my God. This is
he
crazy.
He made it seem like something would if we didn't get out of there.
Talked to a guy named James just a couple of seconds ago. His dad was a foreign diplomat and ran into the house one night. Told his mom and all his brothers and sisters, we have 90 minutes to leave the country.
Yeah.
We got to get on it. There's an airplane waiting. We have 90 minutes. And I'm like, imagine you're 8 years old. Your head is swimming at that point. Imagine that whole situation. Wait, I got to leave everything?
Right.
And then next thing you know, 7 hours later, you're back in the United States and you never really know why you had to leave.
Ever.
At
That's one of those lifelong, what did my dad do? What does he do?
You would have to imagine that your life is in danger at that point, right? If you have to get out of a country within 90 minutes.
Yeah.
That's bananas.
To see your parents panic is not a spot to be in. Normally, they can handle every situation. But when I saw the panic in my mom's eyes when we were going through that earthquake, it was like, are we going to be okay? Yeah, and we were. But To see them panic, not good.
Barb, did you ever have to just straight up flee a situation?
Well, what had happened, I'd say about 15 years ago, we just moved to Bemidji, Minnesota, and me, my husband, and my 3 kids, we were sitting on the porch watching it rain. We said, okay, it's just a normal storm, no big deal. Next thing I know, the rain started going sideways.
Oh.
So I sat there and I said, well, I guess it's time for us to go to the basement. So we went to the basement, and all of a sudden, it was just, we heard a loud roar of some sort, and our power went out. We went upstairs, and the top of our tree was down laying in our front yard. The straight line winds that we had took our power box right off of our house.
Oh.
We had power lines, and I'm laying on the ground. And, yeah, we had no power for like 3 weeks. And we kept calling. Yeah, we kept calling the electric company, telling them that our lines are down. And they kept saying, oh, they're not live, they're not live, they're not live, they're dead. You're okay. 3 weeks come by, and they come out, and then they started yelling at us. And I said, why are you yelling at us? He goes, because these lines are down. I said, dude, I was calling you every half hour, telling you to come out here and do this.
And were they still live at that point? Tell me they weren't still live.
Yeah, they were.
Oh, my God, you are so lucky. That is like final destination.
How they'll do you in Bemidji.
Step in a puddle and you are done.
Yeah. I mean, I couldn't even let my kids go outside. I couldn't do nothing.
So when you fled downstairs, did you have one of those kits that we're all supposed to have, but we don't? You make them in 3rd grade, and you have just enough to keep you alive. 1 birthday candle, a Band-Aid, and a granola bar.
Wet matches.
And that's
a radio, a twist radio.
But see, the thing is, that out of sight, out of mind.
Yeah.
Yep. Until you need it.
I remember when thanks, Barb. I really appreciate your call. I hope you have a great morning. When we first had a family, we had one of those kits. And we would always put it in the basement. It was in the basement. It was ready to go. When we'd check the smoke detectors, I'd check the batteries on the little radio and everything like that. But then I was like, every time there'd be a storm, I'd get called into the radio station, to do the broadcast.
Yeah.
So I was like, I should just bring my family with me, because usually a radio station building is built pretty airtight. You know what I mean? Like, you're going to survive the storm. So I'd always start just bringing my family with. And there'd be my wife and my little kid hanging out in my office while a tornado rolls through, or, whatever, a bad ice storm or something like that. But I never had one of those radio things all set up. I mean, it was in a spot, but it probably never worked. They
had those buckets. The first Trump go around when like the North Korea stuff was being talked about. Did you see those kits at Fleet Farm?
No.
And there were like orange buckets, and the buckets would be used as a toilet. And then inside the buckets were rations and like those astronaut meals, and then candles and batteries and a battery-powered radio and all that stuff.
If your parents are old enough, they probably remember this for Cold War stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, where you had to like take cover under your desk in case there was going to be a nuclear bomb.
My mother-in-law went to school in Jordan, Minnesota, Corcoran. And the teachers would make the kids go up and look for bombs on the top of the building.
Make the kids do it.
Yes. They would send them up, and then just in case a bomb did drop on Corcoran, you just have to do this with your head.
Well, I hate to break it to you, but everybody that knows anything about atomic energy knows it's over.
You're cut.
Under the desk, on top of the desk, in the desk, you're still toasted.
All right, so I heard about this story, and yes, love will find you in weird places. Some people are ready to give up, and that's because you're looking too hard for it. You're looking high and low. The moment you stop, it shows up, but this would be like the last moment I would want it to show up. I need to be saved. This guy named Mitchell, he was getting swallowed up by sand at a beach, and he was there with a friend / coworker, and they've always just been in that friend zone. And then love sparks, they happened at the right time.
The sand was just getting put back almost faster than I could get it out of the way.
To me, those moments were terrifying, honestly, just to see somebody you care about in a situation.
I referred to her as my girlfriend that's trying to call as well. At the exact same time, she got through to another operator and said, my boyfriend is stuck in the sand.
2 years of this guy being my best friend and just trying to hide everything, how I felt.
So he's in quicksand. She helps him. Now they're boyfriend, girlfriend.
Yeah, slip of the tongue. Both of them had it, where he called her his girlfriend and she called him her boyfriend. But we're all just forgetting about the fact that beaches are death traps. I would never, ever, I will never go on a beach again.
Shut up.
It can happen anywhere and everywhere. Like that poor family that was on Dr. Phil I told you about. Their daughter was within an arm's, like from me to you, everyone playing in the sand and collecting shells and doing what families do. And then all of a sudden their daughter is gone. Sucked up by a sand hole.
I didn't know quicksand was a thing. Like, I saw it in all the cartoons.
Yes, it is.
And all the old Western movies where they're building the railroad and all of a sudden one guy gets trapped in quicksand and they can't get him out. But, like, I didn't think it was a real thing.
Real facts, things that happened. You don't think those animators just, like, they made it up? No.
There are a lot of relationships built off of really intense moments, though. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, that's when you know who really cares for you or cares about you is when you're about to die in quicksand and somebody decides they're going to save you. Yeah, you marry that girl.
Any Sandra Bullock movie. She's always in peril. And then she's like, wait, this person that's alongside
Except for the time, what's the movie where the guy falls on the train tracks and she
oh yeah.
She kind of
opportunistic
backdoors her way into that one.
Well, because he's hot. She's had a crush on him this entire time and then makes him believe when he comes out of a coma that she is his fiance. That's
I would
dirty.
be super interested to see if anyone listening right now has had a relationship built on a super intense moment like that.
Something happened, like you were on a bus and then all of a sudden there was a bomb and you had to go a certain speed just to save
that happened
everybody.
To Kat once.
That did. And so, those high intensity moments really bring people together.
How about you? Was there a high intensity moment that brought you together with your husband?
No.
Yeah, I don't have one either.
It was really like I was on the rebound for sure. I had just broken it off with my then fiance. And then I was eating a burrito and he caught me. When I'm eating a burrito, like I'm at my lowest, And so he
especially
was like,
when you do it in the dark corner, like by yourself, hunched in there like a mouse.
He's like, there she is.
I'm going to go for this.
And he pounced cut two. I'm pregnant.
Hypothetically, if your belly button was a real button and every time you pushed it, something would happen. What would that something? And it can't be give me $500 million. All right, you take the dollar bill thing out of it. But every time you look down and pressed your belly button, something would happen. Is there something immediately that pops into mind that you wish would happen?
Yeah, and I'm getting better at doing it myself. I wouldn't need a belly button, but it would be to take me out of situations that I don't want to be in. I'm a 40-year-old woman. I should be able to, if I'm not digging a dinner or a party.
Why don't you just leave?
I always stay. And then the next morning I say, Dad, I'm just like, why didn't I leave earlier? Or why did I even go?
So you want your button to be courage to leave a situation?
Yes.
Okay.
Or it would just take me out and nobody would have any recollection of what went down.
You woke up this morning, you got out of the shower, and you looked in the mirror and you went, oh, my belly button is a big red button. And now every time I push it, what happens? I want to start grabbing your calls right now. Call us at 320-251-1047.
Can I do one more?
Well, you can't get greedy, but go ahead, sure.
Okay, that my hair would instantly dry.
Oh, that's a good one.
To stand and dry my hair is just taking up so much of my life. And I even get it cut shorter. I get it thinned out. I don't want to look a gift horse in the mouth because I have amazing hair and it's really thick. But it takes forever to dry it. So I would do that.
Okay, so your belly button would turn into an instant hair dryer.
Yes.
Michelle, you're first through. Your belly button would turn into what? You press it and what happens?
Go wherever I want. Like I get to travel. Like I'll pop up wherever I want.
Sure, like a teleportation thing.
I
get that. I press my belly button. I'm in Turks and Caicos.
You know how many times that you're thinking about cheese this morning?
Queso.
How many times where you're in the middle of traffic, in the middle of a winter storm, and you're like, God, I would give anything to be on a beach. You could press your belly button and be there.
You press your belly button, and instantly what happens? I saw this on Reddit a couple of years ago.
And you've held on to it that long?
It just stuck in my brain. And on the way in this morning, I was like, oh, what if I did press my belly button? And something cool would happen. Like, what if your belly button was a real button? Boop. And as soon as you pressed it, what would happen?
Yeah.
And you're like, you want your hair to immediately be dry.
Yeah. Or to take me out of situations that I don't want to be in. I should be a grown-up by this point in my life and just be able to, and normally I know when I walk into a situation that probably going to regret it. But I just got to look out for me.
I would want to be able to press my belly button and instantly have an extra hour of time.
Okay.
I find myself more cramped for time than anything right now. So it's like middle of the day and I'm only halfway through my workout. Boop, press my button.
Or like Sundays at 7 p.m. to go back to 6 p.m. Sometimes that 7 p.m. creeps up on you. You're like, oh my God, Monday starts soon.
Zach, I'm going to press your belly. And then what's going to happen? It's going to do what?
Summon a beer.
There it is. Summon a beer.
Okay.
All right, so you don't have to move.
That sounds like a genie, actually.
You can just kind of sit there, press your button. Next thing you know, you got another beer. Haley, you're up next. If we pressed your belly, you would immediately have what happen?
Passenger eject seat.
Oh, geez. That sounds violent.
Haley's been smoking quite a bit. That was a heavy smoker.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. I didn't mean to be that brash about it. But we pressed your button. And what would happen? Your belly button. Jeff?
I would love to be able to press my belly button and have everybody around me sneeze.
Oh, right on. Or it's just like being in here in the morning.
I wouldn't want that. Gross.
That would be kind of fun, though. You press your button, everybody, hush. You do it in church. You go to your kid's choir concert.
No, thank you. That is the last thing I would
want.
want.
We up and pressed your belly button, you could have it do anything you want.
Bingo! How fun!
Last week, someone lost an eye at bingo.
Bingo! Bingo what bingo?
Bingo! Bingo! All right, so this is our portion of the show where we look for an amazing story from you. So you got to get ready to call if you're somebody listening who
has a scar from an animal, which probably would lead to an emotional scar as well. It's awful traumatizing. But Bruno Mars is talking about how he had a dog attack him. That's why he has a scar on his head.
I have a scar in the middle of my head. I got it. I sat on my Doberman Pinscher when I was about 4 years old, and it turned around and messed me up.
Ooh.
So
dangerous.
That would be very dangerous and scary.
I'm on the hunt for anyone listening who is currently working their dream job. And I kind of got the idea after, Pope Francis obviously passed away, and there will be many, many priests, bishops, that's the dream job, right? That's the top of the order. If you're a politician, you want to be president. If you're a religious leader, you probably want to escalate to that point where you can lead the whole Catholic world.
But wow, what a responsibility. You know, people look at you like you know everything. And I don't think he took advantage of that at all. So
yeah, this Pope seemed cool, right? I mean, you never heard anything bad about Pope Francis. As a matter of fact, after his passing, they did kind of put out a little bit of an audio clip of what they're looking for in the new Pope.
At the Vatican, we are hiring. Got a flair for the divine and a knack for waving from balconies? We're hiring for the Vatican's top gig. Must love fancy hats, incense, and forgiving sinners on the fly. Skills needed include miracle working, Twitter beefs with atheists, and dodging spicy gossip. Perks of the job include Swiss guard protection, a Pope mobile, and eternal clout. Warning, job also includes lots of kneeling and shady cardinals. Apply now at VaticanJobs.com. Sainthood not guaranteed.
Are you working your dream job right now? Or maybe you're somebody listening who
has a scar from an animal. Got me thinking about that baby from Pennsylvania that was in her crib. Do you remember that? And they had a pet ferret, and it came in and chewed off half her face.
Oh, my God.
Because the mom had her headphones on, couldn't hear the baby crying or anything.
Oh, my God. Kaya, which one do you fit? You're first through this morning.
I fit my dream job.
Yes, what is it?
School bus driver.
A school bus.
Okay, nice.
When you were 13, you were sitting there staring into the sunset, and you said, I sure hope I'm going to be a school bus driver.
Not so much that. I was an 8 at first, and then when I decided to get my school bus license, it's life-changing.
How so?
I mean, I get to interact with the kids. I get to interact with kids before and after school.
Yeah. And you could be their first contact. Maybe their parents have to leave early in the morning. And just to start their day on a positive note, like, how are you? Have a great day. You could make or break a kid's day. Like, I had Darlene, all right? And Darlene would make sure that we knew who was boss, okay? And so we didn't get the kind welcome. We got the sit down, shut up.
Ooh.
So I'm glad that you are making a difference. That's a big deal.
I love it.
How long do you think will you do this, like, till retirement? This is like it for you, huh?
Yeah, I love it. I mean, I get to bring my 3-year-old with me. I don't have to worry about childcare.
Okay.
Oh, nice.
Right on.
Okay. And what do they do? Just sit behind your seat? Give them breakfast?
Yep.
Okay, cool.
So do this with all of the rest of us on the road early in the morning or in the afternoon when you're shuttling these kids around. what's one thing you wish every driver would do or kind of the way they'd act so that we can have safe stuff for our kids?
Everybody needs to stop when the red lights are going.
Yep.
I've had plenty of people run my stop sign, and it's terrifying because you don't know until like that exact moment when they run the stop sign.
Do you straight up report them, or is there a camera? Because I had a friend in high school that got a ticket for passing a stop sign, and it was kind of the sign was just going out as he was going past, and he ended up getting a ticket. And I was like, "How do you guys look at license plate numbers? Do you call that in? Is there a camera? How does that work?"
A lot of cameras are on buses right now, right?
Yes, a lot of cameras. We have a camera inside and like 3 or 4 cameras. Well, 1 camera outside and 3 or 4 cameras inside.
Is there any one kid in particular that you're like, every time he gets on the bus, I'm guessing it's a he, is just kind of a nuisance?
There's a couple of kids on my route, but in the end, they're normally pretty good.
I like it.
The kids will do anything for a bag of Takis these days.
Oh, there you go.
So that's
bribery. I'm not above it.
Kaya's a briber. I like this.
Good
hey,
for
thank you for checking in. I hope you have a great day. Thanks for taking care of our kiddos.
Can you help me? Can you help me? Everybody!
One of the perks of this job is being able to talk to so many people in so many different professions. So we saw Daniel's text and we're like, let's get him on the show because I can't remember the last time we talked to a medical examiner. And I'm sure we've got all these questions, but I want to address your question first, Daniel. And I appreciate the time here. Let's just kind of go way, way back and talk about the medical examiner job and where this question's coming from. So the issue really is...
I lie a lot to the people. So, like, would it be when it's somebody... Yeah.
What do you mean you lie to people?
I think I know what you're saying.
No, so, people often ask, like, how was their last moments? And I always say peaceful, and because nobody wants to... Well, think about this. I mean, would you like to hear that? Oh no, it took them 2 hours to die, and they died a slow.
I would never want to know that. That would be in my mind. I mean, how crushing as a parent if you had to find out, or like your loved one, if you had to say, what were their last moments like, and you are able to tell them or at least ease them a little bit, and you often go the route of saying that it was peaceful, right?
Again, I'm a father myself, so I'm just like I couldn't imagine hearing that news.
Yeah.
So I just pretend, I just pretend how I would want to hear it. I would like to know that the last moments it was quick, it's painless, and I can at least offer them some comfort. But recently, I had one of my friends. They were saying that I should be truthful in telling how it actually happened.
Agreed.
No.
Absolutely. I don't listen. When it comes to the medical stuff, it should be straight up. There's like bedside stuff. I think is for nurses. Like,
yeah, but what good is that going to do for you if you find out a loved one was laying there suffering for hours and hours from blunt force trauma to the head? That's all I would be able to think about.
I wouldn't want to be lied to.
Can you help me? Can you help me? Can you help me? Everybody!
This one's a tough one. We were chatting via text with a guy named Daniel, and thankfully he could offer us a little bit of time this morning. If you missed his dilemma, he's a medical examiner, and he's the person that's got to technically figure out how somebody passed away. But here's the dilemma.
Recently, I had one of my friends. They were saying that I should be truthful in telling how it actually happened.
And he's admitted that he's just been lying to families for years and years and years, saying it was peaceful.
So saying lying has a connotation that you're wanting to bring harm or mislead somebody.
That's just not the truth.
It's not the truth, but there are levels of lying, and I could get behind Daniel's lying. He just wants to make sure that the last moment in these loved ones' minds is not their loved ones suffering and writhing in pain for hours and hours. He just says, no, they went quick. It was quick, and I'm totally okay with that.
Tanya, would you be okay with being lied to in this situation?
So, no. Well, maybe. So here's the thing.
Okay.
My sister was killed by her husband.
Okay.
And so I wouldn't want to know if she suffered unless I had to go to court.
Yeah. Okay. So
then I would want to know.
Somebody had texted kind of that same thing. Jill said, I'm with Kat. Lie to me. Don't lie to the police, though. that are investigating because that could help in a court.
Well, how do you
case.
feel then all of a sudden they lie to you and now you got these documents that pop out and say it was gory and they bled to death over the course of so many hours?
Then you say, sorry, I'm human, I messed up.
Yeah. Well,
so
no. See, because when you're grieving, here's how I look at it. When you're grieving, the process is going to help you. It's going to help you feel better. You feel better. And then when you go to court, you're going to grieve again anyway. Yeah. You're going to have to go through it again anyway.
I don't know.
You're kind of saying...
What if you don't go to court? What if you don't go to court and you can live the rest of your life knowing that what if it's your son or daughter?
Then I think, don't tell me.
Yeah, right.
Just tell me, he died quick.
If I were a medical examiner, I would honestly just say, I'm sorry, I got it wrong. After.
Yeah.
In case it does go to court.
Afterwards, yep.
Well, now your credibility's on the line.
Well, I don't know. If he gets all the information
that I got it wrong, I would just say that I was trying to ease your guys' mind at the time.
Yeah, you could say that.
There's got to be.
That's what I would say.
So I'm not comparing our job by any means to life or death, but when somebody calls with a really wonky request, or they call with the song that we just played 3 seconds ago, I go, "Yep, I'll get that on the list for you." I don't say yes. I don't say no. I'm going to assume somewhere in the medical, what is it called? Medical examiner dictionary or guidebook, there's certain phrases or sayings that will not commit you to something, but yet be able to ease the family.
There's nothing like this.
I would bet there is. I just don't think you can lie. In a medical situation, I don't think you can lie. That's the same as going to your oncologist. And when they tell you have cancer and they're like, oh, yeah, no problem. We're going to take care of this easy.
Lying
they can't do that.
No, there wasn't blunt force trauma to the head. No, that would be a lie if there was.
Right. I agree, Kat.
Yeah.
Because if you think about how do you know if they actually suffered? Because maybe on some off chance they didn't actually suffer.
Yeah. Yep.
Because we don't know that for sure. Right?
Exactly.
Lying would be the blunt force trauma.
But what if that knocked them out and they just bled out while they were asleep? And that's how they died. So it's true. I'm Team Daniel on this, and I think he's making the right decision.
Me too.
The wrong decision was to tell other people about it.
Yeah, I agree. Well, that's, you know what that is? That's having a beer with your friends and being like, hey, this is a really messed up situation. I just told the family everything was really quick. And all of a sudden now they're holding it over your heads. You're right. You got it. But imagine all of that, like going home with that. Like, we get to get off the air, just go home, play with our kids.
Right.
Like, you're taking that home with you every single day, I bet.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad you waited.
I couldn't do that.
Well, I appreciate you being in Switzerland today and playing both sides. That was fun. This is not Dr. Phil.
No, it was on Instagram, and it is to promote the new season of The Valley, which are some characters that are brought over from Vanderpump Rules. These are my friends. These are my TV friends that I hang out with on Tuesdays. But one of them is Jax, and he is like such a narcissist, and he's just a perfect addition to reality TV. But one thing he loves to do, and how his wife knew that he was cheating, was with one of the girls saying that he begged to suck on her toes. And she knew right then and there. She's like, that's your thing. That is your weird fetish that I let you do every once in a while. But that is how I know you cheated on me, because she knew those intimate details of his fetishes. And he's like, listen, I like what I like.
And this
I don't
is
know what
real
to tell
life
you.
stuff, or this is made for TV?
No, this is real life reality TV. So it goes together. So I want to know, are there like weird fetishes that are a no-go?
I'm not a prude, but it's exit only back there.
Okay. I wouldn't do anything with like ashes, or wax.
What do you mean ashes? Like
if
somebody's...
someone wanted to incorporate someone's ashes.
Like grandpa?
Yeah. Like
they want to rub dead grandpa on you?
There are all kinds of people. I don't want to do anything with diapers. I don't want a grown man wearing diapers or have to make a grown man a bottle.
Well, I don't know. I mean, have you worn a diaper? Like, do you know how comfy it is?
Yes, I've worn a diaper.
Okay.
I don't have a colon.
Is it comfortable?
It is comfortable.
Okay, so what's the problem?
It's a good go-to, because I don't want to work that into the sex. It's not something that would appeal to me.
Hey, Kendra, I appreciate you chiming in. What's kind of a no-go situation? Like, it's an absolute deal breaker.
I have a rule. It's the 4 C's, and I just can't get with it. It's
Children, critters, crap, and corpses. Done.
Never heard that before.
Well,
the 4 C's.
Hit those one more time. What are the 4 C's? These are things that are absolute deal breakers in a relationship for you?
Like for fetishes.
Oh,
is what she's saying.
So you won't get freaky if it involves what?
Oh, no, it's done. It's a wrap. Children, critters, crap, and corpses. I'm out.
Yes. For them to even, those are like inside thoughts which need to be dealt with immediately.
Have you been
any of those
with tying these into your love life ever?
Like a duty fetish?
I mean, honestly, like if they bring this up on the first date, there's no second. I'm out. I'm leaving. I'm leaving before the bill even hits the table. I'm done.
Good for you.